Hey folks, it's Owen here again with another battle report, and this is a game I played a couple of weeks ago against one of the last chancellors, Dave Hullen, who I usually play and who usually plays Dark Elves, but today he decided to bring his Dwarves out of semi-retirement. He's only had them for a while and he hasn't used them at all. So I coaxed him out. I said, I don't want to play Dark Elves, I want something else, so Dwarves it is, and I'm actually looking forward to it because I'm in the middle of starting up a Dwarf army myself. I got some long beards, been painting them up, and they're really cool models to paint, but that's for another chat. So on to the game. So we roll ourselves up Watchtower, and it's High Elves versus Dwarves, 2,000 points. 2,000 points because Dave's actually going to use this Dwarf army, or maybe a variation of the Dwarf army, at the NWG tournament that was, as of this recording, last weekend. I'm not too sure how he did because I haven't been talking to anybody. I was at a wedding, so I couldn't go. But by all accounts, it sounds like it was a great tournament, so on we go. And the High Elf setup is as follows. It's the same army list as it was in the last battle, so it's here as you see it. 5 Reavers, Musician Bows and Spears, Frost Phoenix, both are on the hill, and I have the same general I used last time, which I really like because the model's cool, and I actually liked it so much that I painted a rider for it as well. I had a lot of reservations when I started it off and when I read the rules, but from the game I actually quite enjoyed it. And after talking to Teep Carrington on the YouTube, he was saying how good it has performed for people, not only in normal games but in ETC as well, which I didn't know. So I've read up a bit about it, and it does sound like it's quite interesting. I don't know how good I'm going to make it good because I'm not particularly very good. I tend to just fuck things in and who gives a shit. But I like it and it's a lot of fun, so it's staying there anyway. So on the other side then we have our 18 Phoenix Guard, standard musician banner of the World Dragon, which I think I might transfer out instead and put in the Razor banner because they need a bit more choppiness, and seeing as I have a level 2 mage in there who doesn't do much anyway with his spells, it might be better off. But anyway, that's for another discussion. Noble again is BSB is in that unit as well. I got that Watchtower, so I have my archers in there because as you can see up there at the top, he's got a rather large unit that if they get in there I will not be able to get them out. Then I have my Reavers on the right hand side and just a Bolter at the bottom. So there's Dwarf setup, and this is what Dave has with him. He has 10 Thunders on the left with shields, Gyrocopter, 10 Thunders and shields just in the centre, and then a fucking gigantic unit of Longbeards. 30 Longbeards, full command, shields, and in there he has a Runesmith with 2 runes of spell breaking, which means that he dispels it, and on a 4+ he destroys the spell. Brilliant. He has a Tame BSB who has 2 runes of fortitude, so he's got a 1+ save. I think the Master Rune of Grumble gives him a 4+ ward save for the Runesmith as well, if I remember my book reading. And then on the right hand side there he has Thorgrim Grudgebearer, who I found out is horrible really, because he's just almost unkillable. He is 1+ armor, 4+ ward, 7 wounds because he's on his throne. He's got a couple of he's got 4 handlers. He's got loads of attacks. He's very weak. I mean, he's strength 4, but we're elves. We're toughness 3. I mean, it doesn't matter. He's still gonna be wounding us on 3s. I mean, it's gonna be hard to get rid of them. The thing is, just I have to get the Watchtower in this really. Then on the right hand side he has 14 Iron Drakes with a musician, and I'm just gonna keep away from them because they are quite dangerous when they shoot you. Well, assuming they get the chance to shoot me. Alright, so turn 1, because I have the Watchtower, Dave automatically goes first, which means that he zooms his Gyrocopter over on the right hand side there, just behind his main unit, who walk up towards the tower, getting ready to charge in the next turn. Iron Drakes move up then as well because their range is pitiful, but because they've walked up, they don't get to shoot. And that's pretty much it for Dave. No magic from the Dwarves, so he takes a couple of shots at me in the building and succeeds in killing one of my guys. As you can see there, I forgot my bases because I'm an idiot. So I have to go old school bases that we used to use when I was about 13, which was cutting out bits of cardboard and using them. So it's on to High Elf turn 1, and all I can do really here is just push everything forward, because with Dwarves there's no point sitting back because they'll just fucking shoot you. So Reavers straight forward, both sides, so Reavers there on the left hand side getting ready to either come around the back and go to the cannon, or if the Reavers in front of them are still alive, then they can both go in and take out those Thunders. Then I have the Frost Phoenix and the Flame Phoenix there on the left hand side getting ready to charge in there as well. I'm thinking that if I put the two of them into the big unit, I'll get a lot of thunderstomps, lots of attacks, and hopefully I'll get my Phoenix Guard in there as well, and maybe we'll be able to kill a good few of them. We won't be able to break them, but hey, we might as well try and get rid of them, you know. And then on the right hand side we have the River Reavers, who have moved straight up there, and they get out of range of the Iron Drakes, so they won't be able to shoot them, and they should be okay. Of course there is a gyrocopter, but once we can get past that, we can get to that cannon. Shooting, and I just combined these because there was nothing really, just one of each of the Thunders are dead. And then on to Dwarf turn 2. So Dwarves charge the building. That's not good for my guys, but I mean they can't kill all of us, so at least we're going to last a turn, and hopefully we'll be able to push back out automatically, and then we'll get into combat and maybe we'll be able to hold on. Iron Drakes walk up a little bit as well, and the gyrocopter comes over to the right and gets ready to give us a good steam bath. Now, this is where I made a big fucking mistake, and I didn't cop it on until it happened. I never should have moved them anywhere near what I wanted to charge the next turn, because just in case this or the following happens. So Thunders open up, destroy all my Reavers, which I didn't think they do because they're fucking not very accurate. But because this happens, something else awful happens. And that is that my Frost Phoenix panics and goes straight through my general, who almost panics himself. That could have been a really big disaster. As it is, it's a pretty big disaster, because without the Frost Phoenix in combat, we're going to be slightly in trouble. Frost Phoenix going into the side of a combat is usually a fantastic thing because of his -1 strength and because of the thunderstomps, but now I'm only going to have one Phoenix in there and no -1 strength, so not so good. Then the right hand side, the gyrocopter does a steam, kills 3 guys, but they hang on relentless. Good stuff. This is the combat from Dwarf turn 2, and as you can see, the Elves have been butchered. All 10 are destroyed. I think we only killed maybe 4 back. Probably, if I can count them there, I think it's 4. But of course, we hold on. We're steadfast in the building. We have the General and the BSB there, so we hold them. We're good. And then on to High Elf turn 2. So what I wanted to do previously, but didn't because my Frost Phoenix couldn't, everyone else gets in. Phoenix Guard needed, I think it was an 8 or a 9. They got that, so I was quite lucky with that. General into the side, and Frost Phoenix does rally, so he will be getting in there on my next turn. But unfortunately, I'm going to have to get through 2 turns before that happens, so we'll see how we get on there. And then the right hand side, the 2 remaining Reavers go into the gyrocopter because they might as well. They got spears, might cause a couple of wounds. Left hand side then, the other unit of Reavers go into the remainder of the Thunders that he has there. Well, remainder, there's only 1 dead. But yeah, they're in there. And then on to combat, because magic for the most part in this entire game was waste. So I lose 1, Dave loses a wound, and we win. But he is, I think he was unbreakable, or he was on a 9 or something like that. So he passes the test anyway. So 1 Reaver left, and I still have to get rid of another wound. Over here though, even more successful, the Reavers rout the handgunners, but unfortunately their steeds are not up to it and they don't catch them, so that's not great, but good stuff out of them anyway. And then on to the main battle, and it actually goes pretty well. We only lose 4 guys. The mage dies as well, but I don't really care because spell scroll is no use to me in this game against dwarves, and he's only level 2, so his magic is usually pretty shit. So he's dead, and 2 guys are dead, but we won. I think we won overall, but it doesn't really matter. Everybody was steadfast or some shit like that, so we all held and we're all fine. I'm just waiting to try and get my Frost Phoenix in. That's all I'm looking for. So Dwarf turn 3. Unfortunately, Dave has quite a few more units to jump into the fray, including these Iron Drakes, which are pretty much just massive iron breakers with guns, which means they're pretty tough, and they're tough dwarves. I mean, there's strength 5 going in there now because they've charged, and their armor's 4+, so that's not going to be good. Then the left hand side, the Thunders go into the general, and I'm probably going to have to put my attacks on them because I have to get rid of this side charge they have on me. Thunders then in the wood, they rally, which is, well, not great for me, but good for him. And then onto the combat, which is slightly worse for me, unfortunately. Even though we have killed quite a few on each part, we don't make much of a dent overall. So not so good. We lost the combat, but we hold and we're good to go. But this does not look good. But Frost Phoenix is into the fray. Charges straight in, goes into the front of the unit. Now, unfortunately, it's the front of the unit, so if I do kill quite a few, I might be getting kicked out of combat. But anyway, if that happens, then I've killed a lot. That's pretty good. Then the left-hand side, I don't bother charging the remainder of the Thunders. I said I might as well go forward over there and get that cannon instead. And I think that's pretty much it. We're just straight on to combat again. So yeah, 2 Thunder Stomps, a Phoenix attacking, -1 strength, all that sort of shit means we kill loads of guys. Loads of guys. This is brilliant. I put everything on the center unit rather than go onto the left hand side with my general. So things are looking great. Dave decided not to challenge with his general. I'm not sure why. I think he probably should have. Especially with his... As far as I know, his characteristic is if your toughness is more than 5, you double your strength. So if he had done that against my Frost Phoenix, or maybe moved over to the Frost Phoenix, he probably could have killed it. But I don't care because he's still alive. So we're looking good here, looking good. So moving on to Dwarf turn 4, and there was nothing much that happened in that Dwarf turn at all, actually, except for his handgunners there turning around to face me. So we went on to combat, and as far as I can see here, we destroyed that unit completely, which is great stuff because that's a side flank gone, so -1 is there, so we're okay. So let's go on to the rest of it. And that's the rest of the battle. He lost nothing, and I lost my BSB and a dude. So that's the disaster. My BSB is gone, which means that we're probably going to start breaking out of combat pretty soon. And High Elf turn 4 actually sees the Phoenix, the general, flying back into combat, and I didn't actually realise that. Because of what happened to all the guys that had died the last turn, I was taken out of combat but still in combat with the guys at the side. So I had to put on my attacks and Thunderstomps, and that's why they were destroyed. So we got back into the main fray. Now what I did try and chance my arm here and try and put myself into the general himself, but I was overruled by Matt saying I had to go into the side of the unit rather than fly over and go into the general, which is unfortunate because I would have loved to have gotten into him and try to kill that fucker because I'm sick and tired of him. But anyway, off we go. Up the top of the battle here we have the Reavers who went into the cannon, so they're looking to have a bit of a scrap. So on to the main combat, and I'm a bit unlucky here because my Anointed goes first, kills 3 guys, which I thought, yeah, this is pretty good. But after killing those 3, he actually pushes over so far that the Frost Phoenix is now out of combat. So he can't use his Thunder Stomp or his -1 strength on these guys. So this is going to be a lot tougher now. After that then, the Flame Phoenix does 0 attacks, 0 wounds, and his Thunder Stomp gets me 1. Great stuff. So we still have quite a few things to go through. I think we won that round of combat by a couple, but he was steadfast on a 10 and everybody was fine. But I'm really down to guys now. I have no rerolls. If I lose any combat, I'm going to be breaking, guaranteed. But better news up here is that we killed one of the crew. Unfortunately, all the war machines are stubborn, which I found out. So they passed their stubborn 10. But over here, the single Reaver is far too good for those useless, crappy Dwarven Gyrocopters. So he gets his wound through, kills the Gyrocopter, done, super stuff. So Dwarf turn 5, and these pesky little guys charge into the rear. My Frost Phoenix, or sorry, my Flame Phoenix. So they now have combat res +2, +3 actually, if I don't kill them. So that's a nuisance. So on to the combat phase, and unfortunately the pendulum swings over to the Dwarves' way. The Thunders charging into the rear of my general was a really good thing to do, because that -3, coupled with me not actually attacking them for some stupid reason, means that we lost combat and we failed our tests. So my one Phoenix Guard who's remaining got away from the Iron Drakes. Not too bad. Although in MWG rules, he does get half points for any unit that is fleeing that is under 25%. So at least he gets some points from them, assuming he doesn't catch me, of course. Then my general flees and he gets away from the thunders, and he doesn't like to go anywhere with his main unit. So at least we got away. But I'm struggling here now. Going to keep this building. And High Elves turn 5, so my remaining Reaver goes into the cannon as well to give the lads a bit of a hand. Then my Frost Phoenix has an angle on the main unit, so he charges into the side of them as well. I have to try and keep them out. Unfortunately, he has another unit there now as well, so they're probably going to go into the building. They're just as fucking tough as the other ones. But there we go, that's my turn. All I had here was my Phoenix Guard, who kept running, and my general, he rallies, so good stuff anyway. What a bit of good news for us over here is that we destroyed a cannon, but that's the last thing these guys will do because I want to keep some points. So Thorgrim Crudgebearer, he moves across the combat to get into with the Phoenix, just so I don't kill the rest of his guys, and he has a far better chance of surviving with him. So to be honest, I'm not sure what happened in this combat phase. I think he got a wound off me. I think I may have gotten a wound off him, but nothing much happened anyway. So Dwarf turn 6, and he charges the building with the remaining Iron Drakes, which means that my archers are in loads of trouble. And loads of trouble is what they found, because the Iron Drakes batter them. We panic. We fail our leadership test because we were on an 8 and we'd nobody around to help us with a reroll. So he pops out one side of the building, my remaining archer, and then the Iron Drakes take it over. So that's not great. Meanwhile, Thorgrim Grudgebearer finally does his job and he chops up the Phoenix and brings him home for his fucking fire. So that's the end of the Phoenix, and things are looking pretty bad for us now. And then finally, High Elves turn 6. So I kind of hummed and hawed and wondered what I was going to do here. Should I charge the building? Should I charge Thorgrim? Should I do something? And the easiest thing to do was to preserve my points was to charge these guys, because I can probably kill them all and get all the points. Whereas if I go into Thorgrim, I could be dead. If I go into the building, I could be dead, and I won't get anything for it. So this seemed like the best option. Then the remaining units up here just take a couple of shots on his units and actually get a couple of wounds off some guys as well. And then the final combat phase results in nothing. We do 5 wounds. He has a 10 rerollable and he passes. So that's it. Last chance for me to get some points, and that's the end of that game. And that's the end of that game. So what looked to be a promising game for the High Elves, because we had the building, we had a little plan to keep him out, maybe get rid of his unit. We took out the side units, well, kind of took out the side units, and took out the cannon, but unfortunately, due to my bad placement at the start of the Reavers when they got destroyed, my Frostwings flying off, my plan didn't really start off too well and ended up being a bit of a diabolical mess, unfortunately for me. But it was a good game. I really enjoyed it, and I enjoyed playing the Dwarves as well, because they were a little different than they might have been before. I actually didn't play any Dwarves in the previous kind of, well, I suppose not edition, but the previous Dwarf book, where most people would just sit around and shoot cannons and stuff and be kind of boring. This was quite exciting, a lot of stuff going on, a lot of battles, so it's quite enjoyable to play that kind of game. What's it? Hang on a second, we'll just press this. There we go, 20-0 defeat. Well, was it 20-0? It probably was, I don't know. It felt like it at the end because we just kind of got done in the last turn and a half when we lost the round of combat. Building was gone, Frost Phoenix was killed. You're kind of thinking, fucking hell, this is a mess. But I mean, that's how the way some games go. Sure, the last game against the Bretonnians, I got a lot of good dice rolls. I won that one 20-0. So I reckon taking this 20-0 means it's like a draw overall, and we're all good. What I will say though is that I really enjoyed using that Flame Phoenix and the Anointed. I had a lot of fun with it, and I think they're really good. I know a lot of people say they're rubbish, including I did, but you know, after reading some stuff about how people are using them, and Teep managed to send me on to an Ulthwan page as well, where there's a lot of stuff going on. A lot of stuff with builds and how to use this sort of stuff. It's very interesting. I'm going to keep using them as well, not just because I painted the model, but because I like using it. It's a lot of fun. So I did use it for the next game I have, it's against Ogres, which is a lot different because I haven't played in Ogres in about a year and a half. So I got I got that coming up. So hopefully you enjoyed this one, and hopefully you enjoyed the next one as well. Thanks.